W253DF Memphis. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the bottle. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the window. I tell you they not to play. Tell me, do you think not to play?
Good Tuesday, and tonight's the night we get to see basketball college style. FedEx Forum, what an evening it is going to be. The Tigers and North Carolina, yes, the number one seed last year that went to the Sweet 16 and lost to Alabama, a team, by the way, Memphis will face a week from Monday. Crazy how these exhibition games now are so enticing. And then the women will play the defending champion South Carolina Gamecocks, all proceeds going to St. Jude. So I know ticket sales have not been good. I know there have been a lot of people that have gone, oh, man, we would love for this to be a regular season staple, with St. Jude being the beneficiary and spotlight of games that will really count maybe, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later than this. I just want to tell you, do not blame the University of Memphis if the crowds are poor, if they're sparse. First of all, let's be honest, this was put together at the last second. It is not a part of any kind of season ticket package. Secondly, most importantly, don't blame the school. The school had nothing to do with promoting this game. This game was put on by St. Jude through the Memphis Grizzlies. In order for the media to get a pass, you did not go through Kirk Downs and the University of Memphis. That's the normal procedure. You had to go through the Grizzlies. So if this game is considered poorly attended, point the fingers at the right people. That's all I'm saying. I hope there's 10,000 people there, which would be amazing considering how late it came up and it's not part of any kind of package. I hope that's the case because I want St. Jude to be great. I want this event to be great. But I know there are people out there that go, oh, Memphis. University of Memphis didn't do. University of Memphis had no role in promoting this game, to the best of my knowledge. This was St. Jude, and really they did it through the Grizzlies. So there is where you should direct your attention. Let's hope it's really well attended. Not a lot of information given out by either school on this game tonight. Same thing with the women. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if R.J. Davis is going to play. He's the all-everything for North Carolina.
Yeah, I got banged up at practice.
It wasn't a practice. It
Was
was
it not?
actually a blue-white game.
Oh, I see. So it was like their Midnight Madness type
Sort of
deal.
like that,
Interesting.
but it was just last week.
Yeah.
And he went down hard. And it's listed as a back contusion.
Okay.
So I think if this were the opening game,
If this was a regular season game,
he'd play. Now, I will tell you, when I was doing my charts yesterday on this, I put him as the sixth guy.
Yeah.
Just because there's a good chance he could play. He could start.
Sure.
But if he doesn't, they got plenty of talent.
Oh, they got so much
They got
talent.
a five-star in Ian Jackson. We're going to get our first look at him. They got the kid. Although I wasn't all that impressed with him at Vandy. Lubin.
Oh, yeah.
He's their, I think, going to be their starting center. And then we'll get our first good look at this team. I'm guessing here too, but I think it's going to be Hunter, Haggerty, Rogers, Jourdain, and Danger. That's, I think, the starting five. And you'll see either Cisse or Smith that'll come off the bench. I think Okoje is going to end up being the first guard off the bench. You'll see the freshman Harris. You'll see Carter, the three-point shooter that came from UTSA. So I think it'll be a fun game just to sort of get to know these teams. Same sort of thing with the women. You'll see this Dee Dee Hageman for the first time. She's the second team All Big Ten that somehow Alex Simmons was able to entice over. So that should be a lot of fun. NFL Week 6 in the books. We'll do a lot with that. Jeff Moore's going to join us. So will Mike Keith. We'll start this program with our first guest here in about 5 minutes. It'll be the Big Cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and we will start with the Hall of Fame that's going to take place tomorrow at the Renaissance Convention Center. Zebo, Reggie White, of which I believe Steve Earhart is going to introduce a video on him. Our friend Jarvo is getting into the Hall of Fame. The guy that started the swimming program really for all the city. Dick Fadgen, Andre Turner gets in. Andy Roberts, the great racquetball player. I had the privilege, the honor of doing a U.S. Open in Minnesota where he won it several years ago, and his dad was his coach. We had all this great video with the audio of the coach. It was just very moving stuff. He gets in. Bobby Bingo Smith. When I first got to Memphis and everybody was talking about the greatest players of all time, obviously Larry Finch was in there, but they all said the best the best athlete was Bobby Bingo Smith. And then a young lady, I had the opportunity in 1983 to do her games when she was a freshman, Regina Street. For the U of M women, she is getting in. So will Ken Bennett, the pastor and the guy who started Streets Ministries. He is getting a legacy award. It's really going to be a lot of fun. That is tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit about that with our friend Steve Earhart coming up in a little bit. How about baseball last night? Remember I was telling you that shutout streak, 66 Orioles, tied by the Dodgers. Francisco Lindor, he said, to heck with that streak.
That's right.
You're going to stay tied. Leadoff home run, Lindor. Boy, he's having a great postseason.
He's having a great year, man. He's been awesome.
I think I read this weird stat, but that's what baseball's all about, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the third time in history that in a postseason game, there's been a leadoff home run and a grand slam in the same game.
Wow,
That's
incredible.
Yeah. So that series, Dodgers-Mets now even at 1-1. Yankees take a lead. They got a really good pitching performance last night by Carlos Rodon. He went 6 innings strong. He struck out 9 in 6 innings. Yankees beat the Guardians 5-2, so they're up 1-0 in that series. And the Grizzlies were winners last night. 120-116. Zach Edey, 23-9 in 18 minutes, and Taylor
Really good.
Jenkins played him off the bench. He started the other ones, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
You think this is the way they're gonna roll here? Brandon Clark started in that post position.
I doubt it. I think this was just kind of switch it up a little bit preseason, run different lineups out there, and see what happens. I don't think it's indicative of anything, though.
I think you're probably right, but coming off the bench and he had 23-9.
That's true. That's a good point.
I wonder
if I don't know when their next preseason game is, but if their next preseason game rolls around, he comes off the bench and does the same thing, then maybe we're talking about something.
Right. It could very well be. This portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. You know all about Ken by now. Third generation. Williams in there now. There's Ken the first, Ken the second, now Williams the third generation. We're talking almost 80 years of building the finest palaces in all of Memphis. Go to their website, kengarland.com, see what I'm talking about, and then realize they do more than just building perfect homes. They can find land for you. If you've got land, they certainly know how to utilize that. But if you're in a house that you love in a wonderful lot, you don't want to leave this location. But you want modern amenities. You want the California closets. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the granite tops. You want the media room with the speakers in the walls and the big screen TV. They know how to absolutely remodel your home. They bring all those modern amenities, all this innovation into your older home, and they can modernize it. They do it all. They are really special. Ken, he's one of those guys that sees little details and big picture all at once. Go to kengarland.com, look at the number, give him a call. He's fun to talk to. You're in great hands with Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We're always in good hands when we speak with our friend Steve Earhart. He's all a giddy. He's all aglow because he's going to make a big presentation tomorrow at the Hall of Fame regarding the one, the only Reggie White. My favorite story, I want you to tell it right now, is you were in some sort of meeting with the Philadelphia owner, Brayman, and it was good regarding Reggie White.
Well, yeah, right, and it's great that our Hall of Fame here locally will be inducting Reggie White. I know it's sometime after his passing, but I think he's the greatest defensive lineman to ever play the game. And so here's what happened. Of course, Reggie got his start here with the Memphis Showboats back in 84 and 85, right out of Tennessee, and he was just terrific. But a lot of people didn't know that much about him nationally. Of course, playing in the USFL, the NFL, they were pretty arrogant in those days, and they were kings, or they thought they were kings. But so we were already in after our 85 season. Of course, boat fans out there, I don't know, you were a part of that too. In fact, nobody called him Dave Voloshin. He was Boat Voloshin. But anyway, so after our season in the it would have been in 85 if we finished our season, and then we were already immersed in the litigation, the antitrust suit with the NFL. And so the commissioner then of the NFL, I think it was Pete Rozelle at the time, said there should be no contact whatsoever between any of the people because they might get subpoenaed later. So, but Norman Brayman was the owner of the Eagles. You have a great memory, David. He was the main owner, owned the whole thing, and he was pretty arrogant. So he came down and said, I'm going to come down and talk to you. So I picked him up at the airport and took him over to, and we're meeting in Billy Donovan's office. Billy was the principal owner of the Showboats, and what a great owner he was. But
and this
so
on
we're sitting there
office
talking.
is on Getwell, right? South?
Yeah, that's
on
exactly
Getwell.
right.
Okay.
You have a great memory there. Yeah, so we're meeting there in Billy's office, and, Brayman was, again, arrogant was the right word, pontificating about how great the NFL was and, how great the Eagles were. And he said, well, the reason I came down here is my personnel people thought he might be able to make the roster of the Eagles. And he went on and on about, of course, Reggie plays in little Memphis Showboats. But I finally got a little upset with him, and I said this. I can remember it to this day exactly. He said, Mr. Brayman, he's not only better than anybody you got on the Eagles, he may be better than anybody in your own, and I'll put in doggone league right now, although I was a little bit testier than doggone league. So then he leaves and goes back, and then, of course, thereafter, the suit progressed to a bad result, and Reggie did end up at the Eagles that later in that summer. No training camp, and I believe, I'm going to double-check it, his first game he had 2 sacks, which is just unbelievable, and with no training camp, and then he led the league for years. I think he was 15 years in the league, 13 straight years All-Pro, Man of the Year, wonderful man. And those of your listeners will remember Reggie. He was just a wonderful guy. That he was a great leader. I was talking to Sarah White, his widow, yesterday, and we were reminiscing about Reggie. And Dave, you may remember this. Reggie had perfected the ability to imitate any kind of a dog's bark, whether he would do a German Shepherd or he'd do a Golden Retriever, and he loved hiding behind a corner and then jumping out and barking. And, especially the young rookies, they would just fall to their knees, scared to death. And that's, Sarah reminded me that's how he got the nickname when people started calling him Big Dog Reggie. So
he had a lot of nicknames because they called him the Reverend because he was a deeply religious guy. He did imitations like, not just dogs. He did Rodney Dangerfield like Rodney Dangerfield. he was unbelievable. And they also called him Socks because they had this thing where he bought 50 socks from the Lansky's. They roped him in somehow, some way. And Mike Fleming did a story about that. And then there was a poster that was made of, so many great stories. I never asked you this question now. How in the world did you get Reggie White out of the University of Tennessee when I know the NFL was interested in him? They saw he's like he could outrun our running backs in practice. That's how fast he was.
That's right, David. And he could cover wide receivers. This 300-pound, 6'5" guy would be out there turning his hips and covering wide receivers. But at the time, people in looking back at it, we were so competitive with the NFL. When the Showboats in our last 1985 year, we had 5 number 1 draft choices that we had stolen away from the NFL. And Mr. Donovan said, Steve, let's put together a team that can eventually compete in the NFL. So we did exactly that, and we out-hustled, we out-recruited. I remember there was 2 number 1 draft choices defensive backs, and we wanted to be able to play some one-on-one defense. That was Leonard Coleman. I believe he was out of Vanderbilt.
He was, yep.
And Mossy Cade, who was out of Texas the same year.
Right.
And we brought him here into town, and showed him how much a family this was. That there was a great togetherness. And in those days, we were able to be competitive money wise. Now, today's day and age, the NFL has exploded, and there's no way for a competitor league to be competitive on the money. But we were able to be competitive money wise. But I think the main attraction was our setup here, first class in every way. And again, thank you to all the folks out there. There's many still folks around here that participated and came to those games in the stadium there in the spring of '85 when we had those great games. But we had a terrific team. I'm looking at the picture on my wall now, the 1985 Showboats, and there were 17 of those players that went on, and 5 years later they were still playing in the NFL. Remember our running backs, Harry Sidney, Packers, Timmy Spencer at San Diego, and the two defensive backs we talked about. Louis Sharp, was all pro.
I was going to say, Louis Sharp, you actually stole from St. Louis. He was a player in the NFL when you got him to come down here. I remember that. So you had to pay some money for that. Yeah, Derek Crawford, who was blossoming into an unbelievable wide receiver. I don't know whatever happened to D.C. I don't think he made it in the NFL.
Well, what happened was he went out to the 49ers. He had some really good games. Really, he was with the receiver. I believe he was during the time with Jerry Rice, and he was playing on the other side and was doing very well. But then he got hurt. He came back to Memphis. Unfortunately, he came back to Memphis. He didn't stay out there to get his rehab, and his career kind of went down. He, a fine young guy there in East High School, I believe, is where he played his ball, and but a really talented player. And then remember little Gizmo Williams, who he went up to the Canadian Football League, and he still holds the all-time punt and kick return record. He's in the Canadian Hall of Fame, and so we had so many exciting players that are here when we had a little reunion last year. Mike Kelly from Georgia Tech and Walter Lewis, quarterback, and So your question is, go ahead.
How much did you pay Reggie White? That's my question. Do you remember?
It was. There was some deferred annuities. We were being creative in how we do it. Remember when we signed Steve Young into the number 1 quarterback, stole him away. It was actually the LA Express, but. Remember, Steve kept saying, "But it was an annuity. It was an annuity." We were being pretty creative, but the main thing it was giving an opportunity to players to play in what was at that time very well respected, on the field. We were gaining acceptance, and remember in the springtime there of '85, we were outrating by far Major League Baseball and the NBA playoffs, and we were having a terrific season, but. Unfortunately, in the lawsuit, and the NFL really went after, stealing our players and that kind of thing. Once they realized that here we'd signed 3 straight Heisman Trophy winners, Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie, Mike Rozier, and then we have players like Reggie White. So the NFL woke up and when they fought back hard, and that's what ended up in that lawsuit where they were actually.
Well, I hate to say it, you picked the wrong guy to be your rep. If you had gone with Billy Donovan. Or somebody that was even smaller against the NFL, that might have worked. You went with Trump, and Trump was really not a small guy, and we all know the end result of that.
Yeah.
Before I run out of time.
That's for another show.
Yeah. Before I run out of time. Vanderbilt in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Give me your sense. Do you think that could occur?
Well, we've been watching them, and they are a sound team. They had Missouri beat there, but missed a couple field goals, and then beating back-to-back Alabama and Kentucky on the road. And so today, here's the latest list of national projections, and then I'll ask for your projection. But there's a Missouri versus West Virginia, a Vanderbilt versus Colorado, and Arkansas versus West Virginia, another Vanderbilt versus West Virginia, and then Vanderbilt versus Oklahoma State. So I think they're right there. We haven't had Vanderbilt. I think it's 13 or 14 years ago when they played Cincinnati, who was the champion of then Conference USA. Remember,
James
they beat
Franklin was
Memphis
the
for
coach. Yeah. So that's
James
that's
Franklin
a while
was the
ago.
coach, and so yeah, I mean, I think all of a sudden there's some energy over there in Nashville. The one thing we got to be careful about, I told my son, who's a graduate of the Vanderbilt Law School, I said, hey, the fans didn't know what the hell to do after they won the game. I mean, tearing down the goalpost and walking 3 miles with it and throwing the goalpost in the river. I said, we got to coach those Vanderbilt fans on how to behave when they win a big game.
I'll tell you one thing: you don't have to worry about their fitness level. Carry that thing 3 miles. That's unbelievable. Look, I'm okay with either Vandy or Arkansas because both of those schools, preseason, nobody figured they would be in a bowl. And to get them, and I think their fan base would be pretty well energized because of that, I think that's a win for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, any which way you put it. Can't wait for tomorrow. I know you're going to introduce – I'm introducing you, I guess, and then you're going to introduce the video to Reggie, and I know there's this phone call with Sarah White and all that other good stuff. So it's going to be a big night at the Renaissance Convention Center
thank
tomorrow.
you for your service in helping organize the Hall of Fame. It's a wonderful Memphis institution. I hope more people kind of get enthused about it, and it's just a wonderful tribute. It's a long time coming, and a very, very important and proud tradition here in our community.
All right, my friend, thank you so much. We do appreciate it, and we will chat with you tomorrow at the big Hall of Fame event, and then we'll again talk AutoZone Liberty Bowl and a whole lot more next Tuesday.
Thank you both. See, I'm calling you both
there
from now on.
There you go. You can call me whatever you want. We appreciate it. That's Steve Earhart, the big cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. We take a break when we come back. Breaking news, looks like the Raiders are finalizing a deal to trade Devontae Adams, to the New York Jets.
Jets, Jets.
2 and 4, NJETS. Jets. It's amazing to me that Aaron Rodgers can keep saying, oh, yeah, we gave the game away. Let me tell you something. He hit 2 or 3 passes last night that he just put up for hopes and prayers. One of them to Lazard was a touchdown on the last play of the first half.
Yep.
That was luck. There was another one. I think it was to Lazard, too. It's about a 35 or 40-yard pass. It's a low-line drive that he throws in desperation up the middle. The defensive back, might have been a linebacker, actually has his back turned. The ball is about 2 feet above the ground. If it's a pick, if the linebacker turns around, the ball whizzes by his elbow. I don't think Lazard even saw the ball. It hits him, and he just catches it. It's like amazing. He's so lucky they were in the doggone football game at all, and then he's saying how they gave it away. Aaron Rodgers. And now he's got the guy spending more money.
That's right.
What's that going to cost him to get Adams? You know what? We'll check in. That story's new. We got Jeff Moore and Mike Keith. Mike Keith just sent me the story, so he's excited about this one too. We're back in a minute. NFL on the docket with the one and only Jeff Moore. He is around the corner.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Genesis Diamonds, largest ever sale of ultra premium. You can't miss this special 2-day event, October 25th and 26th. Terms and conditions, special pricing, zero interest financing, and a stunning selection of luxury premium style hundreds of Husks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsi, hottest model Rolex watches that you can't find anywhere else. Luxury premium Rolexes are in pristine, light blue condition, some just out of the box. Price to sell is extended.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wolo said hello.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah.
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new. Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Welcome back in. We talk NFL every Tuesday. We put a bow on this. It's week number 6 that is now in the books. And we bring in former Ram, former Tennessee Volunteer, Jeff Moore, who joins us now in the breaking news that's going on. Devontae Adams finally getting out of there. He's going to go to the New York Jets. I have no idea what that's going to cost the New York Jets, a 2-4 team that appears to be desperate after they lost last night. You know, Aaron Rodgers never blames himself. He always blames the refs or somebody else. Is this going to take them over? They've been very bad in the red zone. That's been their biggest problem.
I think it's a positive move for them. They should have won last night. I mean, you missed a couple of field goals. They were knocking on the door and missed a pass in the end zone that could have resulted in a touchdown.
They got a Hail Mary at the end of the half. They got several passes he just put up for grabs and was lucky they weren't picked.
Right. So they've got some things to tighten up offensively. But I like the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be fine. They beat
from 2-4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
you think they still make the playoffs?
I think they're going to be fine, and they beat the best team in their division. They should have beaten the best team in their division last night, which is Buffalo. We know Miami's going to struggle until Tua's back, and even after he gets back, there's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think. And then, the Patriots aren't a threat. So, yeah, I mean, I think they got a really good chance of winning their division. And once they get on the same page, I think that team is going to be really dangerous because they've got the parts. They just haven't played well, haven't played together, making a lot of mental mistakes. Coach gets fired. I mean, it's just a lot of turmoil. But I think they're going to be able to figure it out. I really do.
Boy, there were a lot of penalties last night.
Yeah.
Both teams.
Yeah.
And, usually there's a sign in my mind. Teams that have a lot of penalties are usually not the best coached teams. Sometimes, I remember having this discussion years ago with Tommy West. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be the least penalized team. That means you're not very aggressive.
Right.
But there's a happy medium.
There is.
I'm a little disappointed in Buffalo. I'm not sure Buffalo's as great a team as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing better to me than I anticipated. I think Josh Allen is doing a much better job of protecting the ball and not making bad plays. He runs when he needs to run, so he's protecting himself. They've got some really good young weapons, so they're gonna be in the hunt. I think they'll be in the playoffs too. I like both of those teams to make it to the postseason.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I think it's like 22% of teams that start off 2-4 make the playoffs. So it's an uphill road, but they did add a nice weapon.
They did.
And that he's got a lot of guys that were Packers on that team too. Lazard, If he didn't have Lazard, they'd be in real trouble. He made 2 unbelievable catches yesterday. That is for certain. In my mind, speaking of positives, there's no question the best division in the NFL is the NFC North. And all you've got to do is look and see the top point differentials in the league. All 4 of them are in the same division, the NFC North. Look at the quarterbacks in that division now.
Yeah.
Now that it looks like Caleb Williams is a real deal.
Dave, I get so happy when I see the Bears. I think about you when I see the Bears, and I'm delighted to see Caleb Williams finally being able to settle down and show the talent that he has. And they don't have a lot of weapons around him yet. Their running game is so-so. Their receivers, are getting a little healthier.
No, those are good.
DJ Moore is a beast. And
Dunze, Allen is a good receiver.
Allen is a great veteran receiver. So they've got good talent out there.
Komet's a heck of a tight end. He had a big game the other day.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge there is they're protecting him better. The offensive line continues to play well. They need to have some punch in the running game. I think that'll help offset his play action game a little bit better. But I love what I'm seeing from him. He's excited. He's playing with confidence. And that division is, man, those teams are really good. I mean, Minnesota, I think, is proven, for me at least, that they're legit. Detroit is the best team to me in the division. They spanked the Cowboys over the weekend. And Green Bay, I mean, Jordan Love comes back, looks great. That division is exciting. And for me, it's exciting to see the Bears become relevant again, really.
I am so impressed with really this division. I think Detroit is the best team.
Yeah.
Even though they have lost a game. But if you look at it, the Bears and the Packers are both 4-2. Love is really a good quarterback. That's why the Packers said goodbye, Aaron Rodgers. We don't really need you anymore.
Yeah.
Williams is the real deal. Goff is terrific.
Yes, he is. I mean, a great quarterback play, great defense, or really good defense in that division. So, yeah, I mean, those 4 teams, I think, will be in the postseason. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
Let's talk about those Cowboys.
Okay.
Rex Ryan put this perfectly, I think. He said the biggest mismatch of the weekend was Ben Johnson, the heralded and I thought was going to be a head coach, OC for the Detroit Lions. And I love Dan Campbell, man. Is he ever good on an interview post-game? Woo. But Ben Johnson, the OC against Mike Zimmer, the DC, the older DC for Dallas, who was brought in to help McCarthy out.
Yeah.
And this is looking disastrous. Now, they didn't have Micah Parsons. They were missing another big-time player. So they're missing a couple of key pieces on this defense. But to get killed the way they did by the Lions, couldn't even – you're paying all this money to Dak Prescott and to Lamb, and you couldn't even score a touchdown. 3 field goals is all you could muster.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really troublesome if you're a Dallas fan, because you're going to have to pay Micah Parsons. Where's all the money going to go to build this team back up? I mean, that was brutal. The Cowboys are at 500, but there's no one out there that at this moment believes in them.
So, unlike the Jets, the Cowboys, I think, are headed for a disaster. I don't see any positives with this team. And they do have some people hurt, but they've been vulnerable to the run since the beginning of the season, and they haven't been able to run the ball since the beginning of the season. Their offensive and defensive lines have been a mess. And you can't win in the NFL if your offensive and defensive lines are playing anywhere near the way the Cowboys are. So, they've got Dak, they've got weapons, but they can't run the football, and they can't defend the football. Can't defend the run. And bigger than that to me is their owner not picking up a running back in the offseason when it was glaring that was a place that they needed to build up. And even in the offseason, he was saying he's all in, whatever that means. There's just dysfunction. I think the dysfunction starts upstairs, and it's just permeated down to the team now. And I don't see them making the playoffs. I don't see them winning the division. They're not the best team in their division.
Well,
they're probably the third best at best.
I don't think that.
I don't know if they're
is
better than the Giants.
I don't think it's a great division. I don't know. Maybe the Commanders are for real. I think Jaden Daniels is.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eagles are that good.
Average at best.
Right. And we know the Giants aren't that good.
Right.
It's interesting though. You're high on the 2 and 4 Jets, and yet you don't think the 3 and 3 Cowboys are going to make it because they're only a game away from the Commanders, and they're going to play them twice.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the weapons though. The Jets, to me, on both sides of the ball, they've got the weapons. They've just got to play better. The Cowboys don't have the personnel. I mean, they don't, and they haven't, and they've demonstrated on the field. I mean. They've gotten dominated at home 3 times. I mean, that's not characteristic of a good football team. It doesn't happen.
That's right. Well, you know what's crazy about that is they've obviously we know they haven't been very good the last 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
They always win at home. This is the
have
first
won.
time they have won all 3 home games, but they've won on the road. It's a very odd year.
It's not only that they're losing at home, it's the way that they're losing. They're getting dominated at home. That's good teams don't do that.
This may be a conversation for next week, but I got to bring it up. The Bears have a bye. Washington, I think, who do they have this week? Are they in London? No, that's the New England and the Jaguars. The Washington is playing Carolina, so they're going to win that game.
Yeah.
They're 7.5-point favorites at home. Carolina's terrible.
Right.
That will set up the Bears at 4-2, and the Commanders should be 5-1. That'll be Jaden Daniels, last year's Heisman Trophy winner, against Caleb Williams 2 years ago, Heisman Trophy winner. Both are the leading candidates for Rookie of the Year in the National Football League. What a great game that is going to be.
It is.
That'll be in Washington.
I hope it's a night game.
I don't know what they're doing yet because they have flexibility on that.
They do. Yeah.
I don't know if it's 2 weeks out. I forget. But boy, that's a game I think a lot of people are going to want to see.
That's going to be so exciting. I'm so happy for both of those guys because that is a tough transition going from college quarterback to pro. I don't care how great you are. I mean, just the speed of the game is different. Understanding the reads and checks and understanding how to read defenses, getting on the same page with your linemen and your receivers, it's tough. And when you see a young guy come in and be able to perform the way these two have, man, it's exciting to see.
It's really interesting how the rookie quarterbacks, you got those two, you got Denver. You got
the Patriots now.
You got the Patriots. I mean, this is a good class for quarterbacks.
It is, and we're seeing more and more that college quarterbacks are making that transition to the NFL game, and it's great to see that they're able to do that. But it does take a team having the right players around it to protect the quarterback because it's a different speed altogether.
Yeah, it does seem as if you look around, look at a guy like C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
he immediately learned the game last year. He looked great as a rookie. He's looking great as a sophomore. The way offensive coordinators are playing in college now, it obviously it is conducive to becoming a success right away in the National Football League. I'll never forget when I was 10 years old, going to Wrigley Field to watch the Bears play.
Okay.
My uncle had season tickets. I go to 4 or 5 games every year in Wrigley. And there was a guy backing up Billy Wade. His name was Larry Rakestraw. And everybody would be going, I'd say, well, Billy Wade had a bad series. I go, why not the backup? It takes 5 years to groom a college football player to play in the NFL. 5 years? That's the way they used to think.
That's the way it used to be. I mean, you just couldn't make that transition. And again, with the quarterbacks that we're seeing, I think the critical component is you got to have some pieces around him. I mean, if you don't protect him, I don't care how good the guy is, he's going to struggle. He's going to have a tough time. It's going to be difficult. And fortunately for these quarterbacks, they've got decent players around them. They got good defenses that tend to keep teams from scoring a lot. And all of that is important for a quarterback to make that transition.
All right, any other observations as we put this week to bed?
No, I think we've covered it well. It's exciting to see that the young quarterbacks are playing well. It's good to see that the divisions are so wide open. You still look at scores and games are going down to the last few minutes of the fourth quarter before the winner is determined. And so it just makes it exciting every week.
Oh, it does. But not quite as exciting as it was last week, where 9 of the 12 were on the last possession or play. That was unreal. But still, I mean, even games like last night, all down to the wire. As always, my friend, thank you much. We appreciate it. And we will see you next
Look forward
Tuesday.
to it.
Me too. That is our good friend Jeff Moore. Didn't even ask him about the Vols. They did win this past week. They got Alabama this week, though. We'll chat a little with him about that next Tuesday. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. Still got time. The big hot tub sale going on. The best spas, they are on sale, including the state-of-the-art, starting at under $2,900 cold plunges, the newest thing, under $4,000. The swim spas, $17,499. Don't worry, special financing is available. Big discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too, because they're closing up. It's really time to cash in on some savings. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Wooden Road, see Billy, see the owner, Lindsay. Tell them we sent you. Ask for the best. Get a spa, because you're never going to get a better deal than you will right now at Family Leisure. We'll pause for a second. When we come back, we head to Nashville. The Titans radio voice, Mike Keith, is right around the corner.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm, so tackle your toughest jobs with the 2025 Honda Pioneer 700. This rugged side-by-side brings power to any party with reliable torque for towing and smooth shifting through trails. And you can choose between 3 trims, Standard, Deluxe, or the True Timber Force Edition, equipped for ultimate backwoods adventures. See the 2025 Honda Pioneer 700 today at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Newman Road in Old Branch. For safety reasons, remember, 16 years and older.
Hi, friends. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And for 39 years, we've been the personal jewelers for thousands of Memphians and Mid-Southerners. For a very long time, we've been offering the finest and beautiful jewelry to help our customers celebrate those very special occasions and let their loved ones know just how treasured they are. Diamonds and the finest gemstones are our specialty. Set in whatever she wants, a ring or a pendant, a pair of earrings or a bracelet. We search the world's jewelry markets looking for pieces that are not only exquisite and beautiful, but also unique and eye-catching. We can help you make her smile in a way that neither one of you will ever forget. Come see us at Russell Brothers. Let us put our many years of experience to work for you. Let us help you say I love you in the best way you can imagine. 5 decades providing beauty, value, quality, and service. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Power at Perkins.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then enjoy Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings and get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekend. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square.
let's pilot down East 40. Head to Nashville, Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans, standing by every time I talk with you now. It seems like there's a breaking story. It seems to involve the New York Jets. Today, the Raiders and the Jets figuring out a deal. Devontae Adams, the talented receiver, going to go help maybe Aaron Rodgers. They're 2-4 now. You think this is a playoff-making move? Good morning.
Good morning. I do. I think potentially it is. The Jets looked a lot better last night offensively. Not surprising that, they got the running game going because I think that was a priority. Giving Aaron Rodgers a little bit more. Garrett Wilson needs a partner, and they have it now in Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams will do the dirty work that needs to be done to free up Garrett Wilson to maybe do some bigger things, make some bigger things happen. He certainly knows Aaron Rodgers well, and by all reports, the deal was consummated before the game last night.
Huh.
He is already there and has taken his physical and is going through all the process. They, I would assume, will put the trade in by 4 o'clock Eastern today, 3 o'clock Central Time, and so it will be official. Sounds like, by all reports, it's for a 3 that could become a 2 in the 2025 draft. More significantly, the Jets are taking on the remainder of his 2024 salary, which is nearly $12 million. So that money comes off of the Raiders cap and goes directly onto the Jets cap. Now, they could redo it in a different way. He has 2 massive salaries in 25 and 26, but those are not guaranteed. So they are going all in for right now at this moment in time with the deal they're making.
Tell me a little bit about the salary cap structure. We know in the NBA there's a soft cap, and you can go over if you pay enough penalty financially, and it gets worse the longer that you are over the original cap. There's the threshold. It's so confusing. How does it work in the NFL? Are you allowed to go over the cap for a period of time?
If you go over the cap, the fine is $1 million a day that you're over the cap.
Oh,
It is an absolute hard cap where every dollar is going to be counted. When the salary cap came out in 1994, the Seahawks had Rick Meyer, the quarterback from Notre Dame, and they did a contract with him with incentives, and they weren't this goofy, but it was like Rick Meyer rolls out of bed by 7 o'clock every morning. $100,000. Rick Meyer stops at McDonald's for an Egg McMuffin. $100,000. Well, the league said, you're not doing that. And so we have likely to be earned incentives and unlikely to be earned incentives. It's like, for example, if a running back has an incentive in his initial contract that he's going to gain 1,000 yards and he gets paid an extra $1 million. Well, it's unlikely to be earned, but then when he rushes for 1,000 yards, it suddenly becomes likely to be earned. So that $1 million counts against next year's cap, and his cap cost goes up in terms of his salary by $1 million because now it's likely to be earned. So you can't get by with anything. The importance of what this number is for Devontae Adams is this is salary. Salary is not prorated. And so they would have to turn it into part of the salary into some kind of immediate bonus to be able to prorate it. But at some point, they're going to have to eat that. That money comes totally off the Raiders' cap, which gives them funds for the remainder of this year if they choose to do something, or that money can carry over to next year when they have 8 draft picks already and potentially 2 compensatories from a couple of top free agents who are playing pretty well, too.
Since there's no player swap, it's a draft pick, and you're taking on $12 million, you got to cut somebody, right? Isn't that the way it has to work? Or is
Correct.
This okay? So, and they had the Who got Williams is the guy's name. He's been injured. He had a bad
Mike
game
Williams.
last night. Mike Williams. I don't know what his numbers are, but since they're bringing in a wide receiver, and by the way, didn't mention Alan Lazard, who used to play with Rodgers in Green Bay. He's unbelievable how good that communication is. I would imagine you're probably going to cut a guy like Williams if that is a salary that you can do that with.
You could. I mean, now I'm guessing they probably have that room under the cap. I mean, they have to have they have to have that room under the cap to be able to make the trade. Now, maybe they went in today and they converted somebody's salary to a bonus so they could prorate it over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, I haven't studied it yet. I can look that up to see what they had available to them. But, yeah, they could not make the trade. And that's why sometimes it takes a while for the trade to become official before you turn the paperwork in, because at the moment you turn the paperwork in, you must have the salary cap room. So there's no Larry Bird exception.
Right.
There is nothing like that in the NFL salary cap. It is it's real dollars. It's hard and fast, and it's in part because the players get 48.8% of all of the negotiated pool of dollars. So tickets, obviously all kinds of media, different sorts of revenue in other areas, for local revenue. The players get 48.8. They must be able to account to the players union for what the exact source of revenue is to determine the salary cap every single year. This year, I believe it's 255.4. I think that's right.
Huh. It's interesting. It's 48.8. The NBA, it's 53%.
Right.
So I don't know why that disparity is there, particularly since there's so many more players. When it comes to the NFL.
Yeah, probably that is a factor, and 32 teams with the massive TV contract they have now. They get a higher percentage of TV than 48.8.
Oh, they do.
I think they get 51% of TV, 47%. It's different pots, but it all comes out to 48.8.
Let's get to the Titans.
Sure.
And 1-4 on the year. But here's the interesting thing, and I'm trying to be positive about all this, pulling hard for you last week, and I really thought you had a chance. But your point differential is only -14, which just says to you guys are competing, just not finishing.
That's it. And that's what you are saying exactly what Brian Callahan and I talked about on his radio show last night. I mean, we've lost 3 one-score games. We've led all 3, and we have led 2 of the 3 in the fourth quarter. If you're doing what an NFL team should be doing, you're 3-2 right now, because you don't lose a game in this league that you lead in the fourth quarter if you're doing what you should be doing. Right now, this team can't finish. You saw Michael Pittman make a play on a ball with a bad back and all that Joe Flacco just threw up for a prayer. And then guess what? On another play, he makes a 14-yard catch so the Colts can run out the clock. 2 plays that have to be made. Who makes them? Not the Titans, Michael Pittman. And that's the difference in 3-2 and 1-4 at this moment. And you hit it spot on. It's like you've been talking to the coach.
Well, the other aspect is, and this is the tough one, because you guys, and you've said this several times, how Brian Callahan, the whole staff, they believe in Will Levis. And I don't want to point the fingers at one guy, but if we're being honest, the most important position, I think, in all of sports, in team sports anyway, is a quarterback. And Will Levis threw for 95 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 pick in that game. And again, he was part of the reason why they did not finish. is there still this sense that we're sticking with him no matter what? You got Mason Rudolph behind him. You got a 9-year guy who, I looked this up because I remembered he was a Bear. Trevor Simeon's been with seven different football teams in 9 years. That's hard for me to believe since he came out of Northwestern. But anyway, is there any thought process about we got to do something different?
No. And part of the reason that our game plan was what it was because with his shoulder, we did not want him taking shots. And I don't mean shots down the field. I'm talking about hit.
Right.
And so, hey, we're ahead in that ball game, and the offense doesn't have a lot of yards, but Tony Pollard's having a great day.
Oh, he was.
And honestly, too, Will's playing efficiently. He had thrown for 72 yards at the end of the third quarter, but he's playing efficiently. We're getting the ball out. We're not taking sacks. We're not turning the ball over. That was the design because they're like, look, we know where we are right now. This is what we're going to do. We don't have a complete answer on Will Levis. And that's what they are going to use this year to find out as complete an answer as we can get. Now, guys have come out of their second year and looked great and then been a disaster in the third year. I know that. But we're looking for a long-term answer here. The goal of this franchise is to hopefully be a Super Bowl contender. And to do that, you have to have a franchise quarterback. You've got to have your guy. Finding somebody who can get you to 2 or 3 more wins in the moment is not the answer. Because for where we are right now, we've started over, and we've reset it, and now the feeling is this guy has the potential to be that guy. He is going to be given a full length of time to prove that he can do it or that he can't do it. And it doesn't make any sense to start taking somebody in and out. The other part of it, too, is while the stats look bad and how the fourth quarter looked bad, it was, a lot of how the day had been designed was within mind keeping him upright. He actually slid. He ran out of bounds. We were very proud of him. I mean, he's making progress, but you weren't going to see a 400-yard passing game from him on Sunday regardless.
So the view in the locker room, stay with this guy, build, develop, continue. And, it's not totally out of the question in that division to still make the playoffs, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, but there's a this week vision going to Buffalo. There's a this season vision. But there's also a vision of where we're going in 2024, 2025, 2026, and beyond. That was why you changed general managers and you changed head coaches after a period of time where you had sustained success, but you made the decision, we're going to go in a different direction. And you got to stick with the plan. And that's what the plan is. There is belief in this building that Will Levis can be that guy. And we got to play better around him. Got to catch the ball for him for one thing, Dave.
Right.
That's a big part of it. We got to protect him. Now we're doing that better. We got to get the ball to Tony Pollard more. We're doing that better. There are things that are coming around that, quite frankly, nobody wants to hear when you're losing. But the people in this building have to keep in mind, and I would think that's very hard to do when you're 1-4.
Yeah, I agree with that. Remind me next week, because you always make sense of everything, why the NFL is so infatuated with this series of games overseas, London, Hamburg, whatever. I mean, the only one that really makes sense to me is Mexico City, but that is a discussion for next week. Thank you, my friend, as always. I appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you.
That is our Tennessee Titan voice. That is Mike Keith. We'll see you tonight at FedEx Forum. We'll get our first look at both the men and the women. And against North Carolina and South Carolina, woo! Cannot wait. Johnny Radio continues his vacation. We've got Colin Cowherd coming your way in just a minute.
Listen Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join